Okay, so for this deep dive, someone sent us this video, and it's titled "Congress Moves to Stop Obama's Coup Attempt Against Trump.mp3."
Wow.
Just the title alone, accusations of a coup, a shadow government, even treason.
Heavy stuff.
Really intense stuff. And the host posting this on a site called Right Wing News
Okay.
does not hold back on the rhetoric at all.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like we're in for, some serious allegations here.
So this video claims that Obama is actually running a shadow government to undermine President Trump.
Right.
So naturally you want to know, is there any truth to this?
Yeah.
What evidence is there?
Exactly.
So that's what we're here to unpack.
Yeah, let's get into it.
All right, so let's start with this idea of shadow government.
Sure.
The video paints this picture of Obama's former national security team as this like organized force working against Trump.
Yeah, they make it sound like
Right.
like a real, like a threat almost.
Right. And the host uses terms like war chest, trying to make it sound like some kind of covert operation.
Yeah.
But is that really what a shadow government is?
Well, in political science, shadow government usually refers to a group that's ready to kind of take over if the current government collapses. So think of it like a backup government waiting in the wings.
Okay.
Sometimes they operate in secret. Sometimes they have completely different policies.
Oh, yeah.
Plans.
So that's the textbook definition.
Yeah.
But it feels like in this video, they're using the shadow government more as an attack than like an accurate description.
Exactly. It's important to distinguish between like legitimate political activity and an actual attempt to overthrow the government.
Right.
You know, it's not unusual for former administrations to stay involved in politics.
Of course.
But to claim that they're orchestrating a coup, that's a huge leap.
Yeah. To make that leap, you'd need some pretty strong evidence.
You would. Yeah. Think back to like historical examples of actual shadow governments, like the Provisional Government of the Irish Republic.
Okay.
During the early 20th century.
Okay.
They had like a clear structure, alternative policies.
Yeah.
And they were actively preparing to take control.
Wow.
So that level of organization and intent is what we'd be looking for to really substantiate a claim of a shadow government.
So just because former officials are speaking out or even organizing, it doesn't necessarily mean they're a shadow government.
Not in the true sense of the word, no.
In the true sense of the word.
And it's worth considering why this accusation resonates with certain audiences.
Okay.
Sometimes the idea of a shadow government can tap into existing anxieties about control and power.
Makes sense.
Especially during times of political change or uncertainty.
Yeah, that's a good point. But this video doesn't stop at shadow government.
Oh, no?
They go on to accuse Obama of sedition.
Oh.
Which is a very loaded term.
Absolutely. Sedition means like inciting rebellion against the state.
Okay.
To prove sedition, you'd need clear evidence of an actual plan to overthrow the government.
Yeah.
Through illegal means.
So does anything described in the video even come close to meeting that definition?
Well, that's what we're here to figure out.
Yeah, let's find out.
Let's break it down.
Okay.
I mean, based on what's in the video, it's really hard to say that anything Obama did, as they describe it, actually counts as sedition.
Yeah.
The host doesn't give us any real evidence of a plan to, like, overthrow the government.
Right.
It's mainly focused on Obama still being involved in politics and criticizing Trump, which, you know, those aren't illegal.
Of course not.
They're not seditious.
It seems like the host is using inflammatory language just for like the shock value, like trying to get people riled up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Strong language can be really persuasive.
Yeah.
But we got to be critical of these claims, especially when there's no evidence. It's like yelling fire in a crowded theater when there's no real danger.
Yeah, creates panic without any reason.
Exactly.
Speaking of accusations, the video really focuses on the Michael Flynn incident.
Okay.
It tries to paint Flynn as this victim of Obama's vendetta.
Right.
The host claims that Flynn's conversations with the Russian ambassador were totally innocent, and the whole investigation was just a political hit job by Obama loyalists.
Right.
So what's your take on all that?
Well, the Michael Flynn situation, it is complicated to really understand it. We need a little bit of context.
Okay.
Flynn was Trump's national security advisor.
Right.
But only for 22 days.
Yeah, that was short.
He resigned after it came out that he lied to Vice President Pence about his conversations with the Russian ambassador.
Yeah, during the transition.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like right when Trump was taking office.
The video claims that Flynn was just expressing gratitude to the ambassador for Russia, not retaliating against some of Obama's actions.
At the end of his presidency.
Okay.
That's the story the video's telling.
Right.
But the real issue is what they actually talked about in those conversations.
Yeah.
Specifically, whether they discussed sanctions relief.
Okay.
That's what triggered the FBI investigation.
I see.
And, lying to the FBI, that's a federal crime.
Big deal.
And in the end, Flynn actually pleaded guilty to making false statements.
So there's definitely more to this story.
For sure. There's a lot more.
Than the video is letting on.
Yeah, they're leaving out some pretty important stuff.
Seems like they're deliberately omitting key facts to push their narrative.
It happens a lot.
So the video also talks about this whole issue of surveillance and unmasking.
Okay.
Now, to be clear, the U.S. government can conduct surveillance on foreign nationals.
Yeah, for intelligence purposes.
Right, even if they're talking to U.S. citizens.
Exactly.
But there are rules about protecting the identities.
Yeah.
Right.
Of those U.S. citizens.
Of course.
Who are caught up in the surveillance.
It's all about privacy.
Right.
Protecting people.
So unmasking is when you reveal their identity.
Yeah, and that's only supposed to happen in very specific situations. There are procedures and reasons.
Right. So the video claims that Flynn's identity was unmasked improperly and leaked to the media.
As part of this plot against him.
Okay.
That was like a big part of the whole controversy.
Yeah.
But Justice Department investigations found no evidence of wrongdoing.
Wow.
In how they unmasked Flynn's name.
Okay.
It's super important to separate whether the surveillance was legal from whether there were political motivations.
Okay, so even if the surveillance was legal, could it still have been politically motivated?
That's a good question. And that's where things get kind of murky. Proving intent is really hard.
Yeah. But intelligence agencies are supposed to operate independently without political influence.
But wouldn't you agree that even the possibility of political interference, especially in a case this big, can really damage people's trust?
Absolutely. Transparency and accountability are so important for maintaining trust in intelligence agencies.
Yeah.
Any perception of politicization can be incredibly damaging.
So it's interesting how the video tries to connect this Flynn incident to this bigger narrative of a coup.
It's like they're picking and choosing bits of info to fit their conclusion.
It's like they already have the ending in mind.
Exactly. A classic example of misinformation. They leave out important facts, twist the timeline, and ignore any evidence that contradicts them. So the video really distorts the truth.
Yeah. It's like building a house of cards with shaky evidence. Yeah.
A flimsy foundation.
And that brings us to another big theme. In this video. The mainstream media.
Right. The media.
The host claims the media is in on this so-called coup, ignoring Obama and focusing on fake scandals.
Made up stuff.
To distract the public.
Right. Classic tactic.
But hold on. The media isn't just one giant entity.
No, it's not a monolith.
Right. There are outlets with all sorts of viewpoints.
All kinds of biases.
You can't just lump them all together and say they're all part of some conspiracy.
Exactly. We need to be aware of media bias.
Yeah.
But we also have to remember that journalism plays a really important role in a democracy.
Okay.
Investigative journalism and fact-checking are crucial for holding those in power accountable.
Makes sense.
And keeping the public informed.
Okay, so to dismiss all media as fake news is not only inaccurate, it actually undermines our ability to have informed public discourse.
It's dangerous.
It seems like they're using this media bias argument as a shield to deflect any criticism or scrutiny.
Exactly. It's easier to just claim a big conspiracy than to actually deal with the facts.
Yeah, but the internet has so many different voices and perspectives.
That's true.
How can anyone control the flow of information these days?
It's a good question. The internet gives us access to tons of information. But it also makes it easier to get stuck in echo chambers.
What does that mean?
Where you only see information that confirms what you already believe. Algorithms and social media can make this even worse. It's like you're in a filter bubble and it's hard to break out.
So even though we have more information than ever, we're also more susceptible to manipulation.
That's the paradox of the information age.
Wow.
We have to be even more careful about the sources we trust.
Right.
And we have to be willing to listen to viewpoints that challenge our own beliefs.
It's a real challenge.
It is.
So what does all this mean for the listener who sent us this video?
Yeah.
What should they take away from this deep dive?
Yeah. It's a lot to process.
Yeah, we went from shadow governments to sedition to media conspiracies.
A lot.
It's a lot, and it's easy to get caught up in this kind of rhetoric, especially when it's presented with such
conviction. Yeah, conviction, like they really believe it.
Right, and that's what makes it so dangerous.
Exactly.
This deep dive, I think, it really shows us the danger of misinformation and these echo chambers.
Right.
When we're only hearing things that we already agree with, it's tough to take a step back and really look at what we're seeing and hearing.
You know, one thing that really struck me was the video host's call for Obama's execution.
Wow.
It's scary to think how this rhetoric can escalate to violence.
You're right to be concerned.
Yeah.
We've seen throughout history.
How demonizing your political opponents and using this violent language can have terrible consequences.
Yeah.
It's so important to remember that peaceful transitions of power are like the foundation of a democracy.
Absolutely. It's a sobering thought.
It is.
So for our listener who sent in this video, where do we go from here? What are the takeaways?
I think the biggest thing is critical thinking.
Okay.
Don't just take everything at face value.
Right.
Even if it comes from a source you trust, do your own research. Look at different viewpoints.
Okay.
And be careful of that really emotional language and claims that don't have any evidence.
So it's like being a detective.
Exactly.
You got to gather the evidence. Look at different sides, and then make up your own mind.
Exactly. And remember, there's a difference between healthy skepticism and just being cynical.
Right.
You can question things without thinking everything's a conspiracy.
That's a good point. This video makes you wonder about our democracy.
Yeah, for sure.
If a former president can be accused of a coup, what does that say about our political system?
That's a big question. Really shows how important it is to be engaged citizens and to value truth and reason.
Right.
Our democracy depends on people who are willing to think critically, talk to each other respectfully, and hold our leaders accountable.
Absolutely. Well said. So to our listener, we encourage you to keep learning about this. Read more.
Keep research more.
Research more.
And make up your own mind.
Draw your own conclusions.
The truth is out there.
Yes.
But it takes work to find it.
Yeah. And remember, it's okay to disagree.
Of course.
To have debates.
Absolutely.
And to challenge ideas.
Yeah.
But let's do it respectfully and try to understand each other's points of view.
I think that's a great place to end it.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It was my pleasure.